Welcome to ACTPod, a podcast show that sheds light on the stories and impact of the social sector. The show is proudly powered by Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation. Let's begin the change.
Good morning, everyone. Adesuwa, I'm excited. Every time we have a conversation, we can't stop. And I'm so happy that you've come to give us like a teeny little bit of your wealth of knowledge. I've known you for so many years. We've been in the industry together, but I've seen I don't want to say the growth, the quantum growth. And it's because of how you are as a person. You want to change, you want to impact, you want things, you don't like status quo. And it's something that everyone says about you, in front of you and behind you. When you bring Adesuwa Ifedi in, she does not like status quo. She wants to change when it's necessary for change. And that's the way I have to introduce you. I can't introduce you any other way. All the other things, the bio, they'll put it up. And I just want to say welcome. Thank you for saying yes to us. And I know the conversation is going to be short, but I know that everybody's going to walk away feeling to themselves that they've learned something. So let me start off with just talking about you. The journey in the social enterprise spaces, it's not always easy. But how have you gotten to this place today? And what do you think you've done differently? Just to talk to people out there, that are founders or CEOs, what have you done differently that they can pick up from and say, this is what I need to do going forward?
Yeah, thank you, Sai. It's exciting to be here. Mm-hmm. And I hope we can actually say all we have to say in 30 minutes. But it's been an interesting journey. Yeah. And I started from the finance sector. But I will tell you that I think even when I was in finance, I've always been someone who would question status quo. Yeah. I worked in the financial sector. I had concerns with certain traditional ways in which we addressed issues. I would always speak up in meetings. Everybody knew that I was going to say, but why? But how? Or how would we change this? Yes. But it was always because I put 110% into whatever I do. And I honestly believe that transformation is possible. I have a lot of faith in the capacity of the human. And we've evolved and we've thrived, in this world for millions and millions of years. And there's so much we've achieved as a species. Yeah. And I believe that there is no special ownership to this capacity to transform. It's not hidden in somebody's race, somebody's gender, or somebody's identity. Every human being on earth can be an agent of transformation. So I just think it's just about questioning status quo. So I would say that that's just been the thing about my career. When I went into the development sector, I was passionate about it and passionate about real change. But I was also truthful about when it was not working. And I feel that I have a gift, and that gift is how to find people to tell me what I don't know. I am hunting for people to tell me what I don't know. Yeah. And I've always understood that the wealth of the knowledge I need to make the change I need to make are not with me. So I'm daily looking for people to connect with to help me to build that idea I need for change. And I think from volunteer core, building a board, some of who are still my friends till today, tapping into the wealth of others, both private sector, public sector. The truth is that there's knowledge everywhere. And I think one of the things that I would say that I've learned to where I am today that is still effective, even working within an international INGO, is that you need to be a curator of wisdom and wealth. You have to be humble enough to know you can't have the solution. However, you can have the capacity to pull the solution. If you're a woman, aren't you? It's not the tomato that makes the stew now. It's not the vegetable that makes the soup. The soup is made up of different things, and each one has its own capacity. Yeah. The best cook is the one who knows what to tune in, when, and how. And even when you lead your organization as an entrepreneur, when you are in the room talking to your team, who is quiet? They're not quiet because they have nothing to say.
Exactly.
They probably are the outliers who are afraid to voice their own another angle to that conversation. So even within organizations, tapping into the resources you've hired and making sure you draw out from your people as much as they have to give is critical. So for me, I would say that it's that understanding that what I need to make the transformation doesn't just lie within me, and being able to develop myself to bring other people together. to make it work.
And so you have taken me far away from where I want to go to. I'm just thinking, how do I come back? And this is why I totally always enjoy speaking with you. In fact, I've already come up with another topic that we're going to deal with another time, not today, because there's so much that you've just unpacked for us as social enterprise spaces.
Yeah.
What's the issues that we're dealing with? Because a lot of times we kind of want to just stay as things. We don't want to almost shake the pots. We just want to put the tomato, as you mentioned, put just water, put everything, and just leave it there to brew. But we fail to realize that not every time that jollof rice is cooked in a certain way, and everybody is different. All the organizations are different. So when you work for Heifer now, how does Heifer do its own work? And how have you, with how you see things, what have you brought and what value have you brought into the table? And I'm talking from Heifer and what you do with Heifer at the moment. And I know the work you guys are doing across Africa is humongous. I mean, sometimes I see it and I'm thinking, how do you do this? How, as Adesuwa, do you do this first as a person and of course as the organization?
Yeah. So I think for me, I don't know if you might know my background, I'm an economist.
Yes.
So from college, my project was in agriculture. And when I was going to do my Humphrey Fellowship, I wanted to actually work on a project on agriculture. I was thinking about agriculture as a means to reverse rural-urban migration. And I was thinking about how do you attract young people? How do you make rural communities dynamic? So this has always been something in the back of my mind. So when I got into Heifer, focusing on agriculture, it wasn't like everyone thought, oh, but you've never been here before. No, it's been a passion for me. Ending hunger and poverty is something I believe in. It's a creed I live by. If you say, oh, is there something that you wake up every day believing? Is the impossible. And that impossible is ending hunger and poverty for this continent. And so with the work in Heifer is a global not-for-profit. And we've always believed in the philosophy of unlocking the local capacity to make change happen. But I would say that when I joined Heifer to a large extent, we had not completely cracked the nuts to dot our I's and cross our T's on that our core organizational philosophy. We believed it as an organization in terms of how we did our work, but we did not necessarily apply it in how we ourselves governed within our organization. We're a typical NGO. So some of the first things that I wanted to do was to mirror our passion for local communities helping themselves within the organization as we built the Africa team. Because there are talents in our continent capable of making change. And the need to disrupt the INGO structure where we feel that there are needs for experts to come in to bring knowledge that local context can only drive. I had to disrupt that. And it's something that I always say in Heifer. And I use an example of when I went to Morocco on my vacation with my husband. There is the quality of knowledge a local has that is not by visitation,
at all,
coming for a field trip, or backpacking through Africa for 2 years.
That you get.
You are born here. You grew here. There are non-verbal learnings and non-verbal communication. That is a part of your DNA. When you now innovate in that space or lead transformation in that space, you cannot quantify what you bring to the table. And so for me, the first thing was really to elevate the quality of local content within the organization itself that is driving change. So one thing on the outside to say communities can change themselves, great. But then we also needed to say that the teams handshaking communities also, coming from the communities, being from the communities, have very strong value they bring to the table as well.
So how do we empower the local social enterprises to think and understand that there's some value that they do bring to this table?
Osai. So when we were planning for this, I saw the question about localization. And I didn't even know what to do. Because if I start localization, that's all we'll talk about today. What is localization? The very concept needs to be turned around on its head. What is localization? You cannot create solutions somewhere else that are homogeneous and expect that you can now contextualize or localize them. And so the value that the local NGO or enterprise brings is localization. They have to be in the creation of the solution. First of all, they should be part of the identification of the problem, the creation of the solution, the taking the solution to be tested in the community, the evaluation and the monitoring and determining how that that change can be measured. You have to bring the local context all the way through the whole
From start
cycle.
to finish. Yes.
From start to finish.
Yeah.
So localization bothers me because it comes from a perspective that problem has been identified somewhere. Solution has been built somewhere else. Now that we now have a standard basic framework,
come and do it
for solution, we will give you, and what you just have to do now is to contextualize it. It's dead on arrival. It will not scale. It could succeed as a pilot, and we have to define the difference between what we consider as pilots and scale. Piloting and scaling are two different things entirely.
Yeah.
A pilot receives the support of everybody in the ecosystem. It is put in a laboratory. It's put in a
very different
in a very controlled environment. And you want to scale in a real dynamic, complex, interconnected world. By the time you go to scale, everything you did wrong when you were thinking about localization will come to bear. The fact that your problem was not well identified.
Yes.
That what you even thought you were supposed to be doing was not what you were supposed to be doing. So I think that local enterprises and NGOs need to find the courage to redefine the value that we play in solving the problems of Africa. I think it's way more than we think today.
Yeah.
But I also feel we've not found the right words
to
bring that value to the table.
Adesuwa.
I can't say this thing in 30 minutes.
I was telling someone the other day, I said, sometimes even the wordings and the definitions of what has been given to us is not even who we are.
Constrains us.
Yes, it constrains you to almost think to yourself, this is how it's supposed to be done. But how are we, and this is across board, we're talking to Africa here, how are we as Africans going to come to a place where we can actually have a voice to say that, as you said, so a lot of times, and that's why you work for an INGO. It's a big firm. It's a big organization. You bring in some power, and you as a person bring in some power. So when you mix the two, you are powerful. But you have an organization that is in the community, is listening to us and is thinking to themselves, I mean, for Christ's sake, I'm somewhere in Kaduna State or in Kenya, and I'm just trying to manage myself. So why do I even want to have this battle? Let me just leave them alone. Let them come and tell me what to do. I do it, and at least there will be I will still get some impacts. I might not agree with them 100%. So what can we say to people to make them realize that you are important from start to finish? You can't expect, it's like anything else in this world. You can't expect someone to come in and you've already put all the ingredients in. I say, oh, it was mommy that made the food.
Yeah.
Mommy will say, I didn't make the food. All I did was I came and I tasted and I left. And I said, okay, the jollof rice is okay. So how do we, sorry, we're using jollof rice because we're in Nigeria. Apologies to the other Africans that say jollof rice is their own. So how do we tell people that you need to understand that from start to finish, I
just want to question something.
Okay,
and
question
I remember when I was being interviewed in Heifer, and they were asking me, about my leadership style. I said, look, I am a very straightforward person. If I'm working with you and you came here for a job, I will help you get another job in a bank, somewhere nice. Just go do something with yourself and get paid. But if you came here to make a difference, then let's work together. I just think that we need to redefine why people get into the development sector in the first place. Because we have to be committed to making a change. We lose our voice when we compromise our desire to make a change vis-a-vis our desire for survival. Unfortunately, many of the NGOs that you're referring to have entered survival mode.
Yes.
But it's funny because this is not only an NGO problem, it's not a local organization problem. Even within international INGOs, people working there also have entered survival mode. They go into meetings where the dish has been prepared and they are called to rubber stamp this dish. And in the rubber stamping meeting, they are saying yes, yes, yes to everything. They know the answer should be no, no, no. So I just think that we have to find the courage.
Yes,
but I agree the courage doesn't come from the local NGOs in the rural communities. Yes. The courage comes from those of us who have had the opportunity to gain some kind of audience for our voice so that we can use our voice well. Now, I think that one of the things I feel we've not done very well is that we think it's an us versus them conversation. There is no us versus them. we're talking about adopting innovation that can actually work for Africa and can actually scale impact and address issues. It takes all of us to get it done.
Yes.
The collaboration is not just all about people in the global south. People in the global north are also passionate. Some people have actually left everything to commit themselves to getting this work done. But they have been taught about the world in a specific manner, whereby they feel that everything, including you and I, are resource constrained. They don't think it's only the villages. They think that you or Sayi, you are resource constrained.
Definitely.
I am resource constrained. I'm brain constrained as well. So, but this is, you can be wrong, but you can be sincerely wrong.
Yes.
But I think that how do we find the grace to enter this conversation with empathy and passion?
Empathy
and passion and a lot of wisdom to begin, because we are trying to redirect people's minds about a continent that has reached its prime. But people don't know it's reached its prime.
Yes.
We need to redirect people's minds that what you want to achieve, leveraging the already existing talents, resources in the continent is the best way to get there. Can you say that again?
The already existing.
Yes.
Because it's here. It's here.
It's here. Right down to the village, right down to the communities. Even in the farming communities, even with farmers we work with. We find out that there are ancient, time-long practices that if we could even come in to support those practices with technology and innovation, that can solve the problem. So I think it's just, let us also be sincere, because are we also sincerely at the table for the right reasons as well?
This way, you're going to another level again. No? Are we sincerely on the table for the right reasons? Because sometimes you get to a room and you know that a lot of people that are there are not there for the right reasons. And they are the ones that the voice that people are hearing. So we have to continuously speak out, continuously get to that table, as you said. I mean, last time we had a conversation, you said to say, we cannot sit down and we have to come to the table and be a voice for people to hear. So let me go back to Heifer and then come back to this conversation. So how has Heifer incorporated this understanding when they're dealing with design, partnerships, they're working in collaboration with organizations in the communities and in the different countries that they've worked in?
So something we started doing 5 years ago in Heifer was to say, to end hunger and poverty, you can't take Heifer alone. So in Africa, we also realized that you can't also take NGOs alone. If we do not begin to see private sector and government as partners that we can work with, collaborative partners, not say profit people are, killing the community, NGOs are the saints, but all of us working together. And so what we started doing was saying, the problems that we care about, we don't think we're the only ones that care about it. Climate smart innovation for farmers, increasing their yield, reducing the labor-intensive nature of agriculture, and we also saw the opportunities also for job creation, but young people don't want to be there. So we said, who are the people solving the problems today in Africa that we also want to solve? So we set up a competition we called AYUTE, that is Agriculture, Youth and Technology. And the idea was, who in Africa across the continent is doing something already so that we don't have to start it. We can join it, invest in it, partner with them, and bring them to our communities and scale it. Because the idea is, and then learn. And, the journey has been an interesting one, because it was one we started with the philosophy of, the philanthropists will just help you, give you the money. But I will tell you from day one, I had to change my whole understanding and philosophy of how to partner as a funder with an organization you are funding. I mean, there were innovators who won a grant, and we had said with our framework, this is what we want you to do, how we want you to do it. And they'll come to me and they say, this is going to fail. Then I'll say, what do you think we should do? How should we go about it? And then we co-create even the funding and how it can be structured. Not just the project, because sometimes we think innovation should only be in the solution. But innovation needs to also be in the way the funder designs the funding so that the funding does not become a hindrance to success. So what we've learned is, one, we don't have to be the only ones to go to the same community where local innovators are working and build our project next to them. We could actually leverage their innovation and invest in it as well. And then secondly, as we go on that journey, who are we? Are we the boss and they are listening, or are we co-creating and co-innovating on the journey together?
I like it when you said funding. You don't want funding to be a hindrance to success, because it can be. Can you just give us, as we begin to round up, give us just examples of what you've done over the years and the initiatives that you guys have adapted to local content.
Yeah. I think so many interesting initiatives. So we always talk about Hello Tractors that we work with, where we're trying to get tractors to the last mile.
Yes.
And we invested in this innovator and we're all excited. We're going to buy tractors for farmers. But the innovator even came with a great idea that said the problem is not even just getting the tractors there, is who will finance people who live in villages who do not have track records of finance. So we had to first of all innovate in how to finance them. And come up with an out-of-the-box, non-traditional finance way to get the money to them. But when we started going on the journey, we found out that where is the mechanics? Where are the drivers? And we began to realize that this is a whole ecosystem of innovation that has to happen here. But what I thought was more exciting was that we had also financed other innovators who were working with us in other areas in extension services. And we found out that on the journey, both the innovators we financed doing extension service and doing tractors needed to collaborate to maximize their capacity to make impact. And what we started now learning is that no one innovator, even if the problem seems very clear-cut, no one innovator can solve it. You actually need diverse innovators working together, to be able to make that change we want to see on the ground happen. So our learning here is to continue to not only identify innovators, but to start curating innovation, bringing people together. And as we go on the co-designing, knowing that no one organization by themselves will be able to make that impact without the necessary collaboration with others. So, there's a lot that we've done. Our program, Ayute, is online, and you can learn a lot from our website about what's happening in that program.
We'll definitely put the website and all the different programs up as well when we're streaming this. I'm trying to see which one I should, you've talked a lot about learning, unlearning, relearning. And every time you start, we started this program, we thought we went back, we co-created. So flexibility is important.
And learning is now what we call one of our core competencies in Africa. We are focusing on building a learning organization. The truth is that the world is not where it was before, right? The world has become disrupted. No one has control. No one has the knowledge.
So you have to be.
So if you're not constantly learning in your DNA as an organization, you can't innovate. So that's a whole topic on its own. But I would say that we are investing heavily in supporting ourselves as a global organization to become a learning organization. We're understanding that our values have to hinge on things like humility, empathy. We're really talking to our teams about brutal honesty, right? Fail fast, learn fast, right? There's fail fast, learn fast, and having a very different lens to how we see risk. When we say, that's very risky, what does that mean? Is that a data point to learn from, or is that something to run away from? So we have to define that as we go on this learning journey.
So it's a lot of things that's redefine. You have to continue to redefine. You have to be flexible enough to understand that even as a CEO, you're running, you must understand that things change and they change fast. So learn fast, learn very fast and change very fast as well, and keep on pushing. Wow, there's so much to unpack, but I must say this one. It's really interesting when we think from this point of view, even as an INGO, that your thinking is almost where we are hoping that most people get to. And I know that you are telling me that we're even just starting. And I'm hoping that even more INGOs will listen and understand that every one of us, including them, and I like what you said, it is not a them and us thing. We all have to do this together. We have to make sure that impact for us is important. And we're looking forward to even doing much more and bring you back to have a conversation with us. I want to just say thank you so much. I've learned a lot today. I'm going to be more flexible, learning, unlearning, being, open to make mistakes as well, and understand the definition between risk. Because there is a definition between risk. But if when they say the last thing you want to tell us, what will it be? And speaking to the INGOs and then to the local community organizations as well.
So the global INGOs, what I would say is that we cannot put the world in a picture frame and hope it stays that way. 2020 now has taught us that we can't predict even the next 6 months. So we must now go back to our drawing boards to change the way we thought we could control the outcome of the things we want to do. We don't have control. We have to find the humility to identify passionate partners who we can co-design this future with from start to finish. And for local NGOs, the way the world is today is an asset to you, not a liability. You may have thought that this consistent change and transformation puts you in a precarious situation, but it actually gives you the courage to now talk about how it is the guy in the local context that becomes king when there is high disruption going on in the world.
Yeah.
Let's find the right words to qualify our value and what we bring to the table.
And what is
change.
important to us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Adesuwa. It's always a pleasure having a conversation. I mean, I'm just allowing you to have a tidbit of what I enjoy as a friend. I know we'll bring you back because there's something else that just popped in my mind that I think is necessary for people to hear. Yeah. And even as we're growing the industry, as we're working, we continuously working together to make sure that we see impact and we see change. Yeah. I know that the relevance of what you do is so important. Yeah. And I want to say thank you as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. It was really nice to be here.
All right,
I look forward to coming back again.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to ACTPod. For inquiries and feedback, please reach us on actpod@actrustfoundation.org. Follow us on social media at ActFoundation_ on Instagram and Twitter, and Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation on Facebook. The show is proudly powered by Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation. ACTPod, our story, our continent.